What is up, Modern Lending Podcast community? Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Lending Podcast with your host, Alec. I'm Alec. Today's going to be a fun conversation, as always, trying to bring you guys value and education and some entertainment. We're going to be talking, as you know, if you've been following on the podcast, we are in our segment on modern consulting and quoting customers. It's a massive topic. It's arguably one of the most important topics that defines the success of any originator, because you could be the best lead manager, you could be the best creative prospector, and then you get a customer in front of you. What do you say? We all know that you don't just fling out an LE, but what do you actually do? And what I found in my years of the business, 18 now, so I feel like I got a little street cred, we're winging it. We're winging it, or we're doing it through an organic process we learned from our mentor in the past, and we added some things to it, and it's not as thoughtful and intentional as it could be. So today, I'm bringing on the man, Dave Savage, the CEO and founder of Mortgage Coach, the guy who has arguably transformed the quoting and consultation space. And we're going to have that conversation through everything he's experiencing. So buckle up and let's get better. Dave, thanks for joining the podcast today, brother. It's great to see you. And for everybody that's popping in right now, say hi, throw a comment in there. I love when these live podcasts are interactive because we'll answer your questions. But if you're watching this in the future and getting some value, hit us up with a hashtag bypassed. It always gives, especially me, but I know all of us, a little bit of like joy that you paused your day to say hi and hang out. So Dave, good to see you, dude.
Good to see you, brother. And I love that framing. Buckle up and let's get better. I thought that was awesome.
So first, we all need to give Dave like massive props because he has the sickest new microphone that I'm jealous of, that it gives him this epic quality. This isn't a content conversation about but we can hear you beautifully. You sound perfect, Dave. I love it, man.
And you don't see my mic, you know?
And you don't see the mic, which I'm jealous. I mean, sometimes if I get called a radio DJ one more time, I'm going to burst through the screen. So
yeah, no, I have the one where you can see it, but I do like this mic from the sky. It's pretty sweet.
So, dude, here's where I want to start before I get to kind of contemporary issues that we're facing with quoting and consulting customers. But I want to go back for a minute and get your story on why you started Mortgage Coach. Only in the sense that, I mean, really, you, in my opinion, have been a pioneer in upping the quality of a consultation, of an experience. And so just give everybody the background on how this started again, because it's so great.
Yeah, well, I was a loan officer, and I don't know exactly what year I decided like my value prop is going to be my advice makes a difference. Yes. And I wanted it to be more than words. I wanted to be like, my advice makes a difference. And then see, and literally one piece of paper. So this is before SaaS, links, faxing was still a thing. And I created, this Excel spreadsheet, 1 page, total cost analysis. And so the game I was playing at that time was creating wow. And so the name of the company is not Mortgage Coach, it's Wow Tools. And Mortgage Coach was a wow tool so that when you were quoting, which is a word that I would have abolished from the mortgage industry, but when you are quoting a rate, you're wowing someone. Like, how can you at scale consistently get a consumer to go, wow, a loan officer's never told me that before. Wow, I never thought of a mortgage as being this important. So that's the backstory. It's a wow tool.
Well, and by the way, I love it because so many loan officers, even today, are likely using, I've seen it, they're using their own version of an Excel doc, or they're using their own kind of format because they too know it's not about the LE, it's about the conversation you have with the customer. So love the product. Obviously, we're huge supporters of it at Loan Depot. Kyle, thank you for making sure I'm your favorite radio DJ. I appreciate you, dude. So, Dave, let's start with some of the basics here. And I want to frame it up for new loan officers, even though there's some really experienced LOs in our industry. A new loan officer sitting down, and before you start sharing too, I want to frame this up for anybody that doesn't know. Dave runs not only a great company for you as an originator to produce great content and explanations for your customers as you quote rates, but more importantly than that too, or in addition to that, Dave runs this ecosystem in the Mortgage Coach Network, which everybody should get involved in as in a mortgage professional on Facebook. And you also put out a ton of content. You interview a ton of great originators. I see you as the guy like in the middle of all these rivers of fantastic information. Some of the best originators in the world are talking to Dave. You do your script to Palooza every year, which is amazing. So you're just a wealth of information because you're planted and rooted in the middle of all of these great conversations. So on that note, as we talk about consulting and quoting a customer, how would you recommend for a new loan officer, what's the process someone should go through before flinging out an interest rate? What have you amassed? How would you start that conversation? What would you share?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, realize that being a mortgage professional is much more than just closing a transaction, and especially as the future goes on, because everything that can be automated will be automated. And the machine can quote a mortgage, a machine can close a loan, and so all you have, if you're local, you're referral based, you're a professional, it's you. It's your empathy, ability to connect with someone, your ability to ask them questions and put context around those questions beyond the machine, and then to give them something more than a transaction. So I always push new loan officers, like in your basic training, you're going to learn what an interest rate is. You're going to learn cash to close. You're going to learn closing costs. Guys, that's first base. That's getting on first base. If you want to get to a double, you need to learn how to give people options. So not just quote a rate, but show them options. And if you want to hit a triple, you need to okay, here's some options, and now here's some strategies. And I just always say beyond the transaction, be thinking, what does that loan mean to the family in 3 years, 5 years? And when you can do that as a new professional, you can literally go from I'm a waiter or a waitress, and I ask great questions. I present things in a way that blows away 95% of loan officers in America, whether they've been doing this 30 years or not. You can blow them away if you implement modern processes, modern technology. And that's why you and I have the same mission. I mean, this is the Modern Living Podcast. I run Mortgage Coach, but I also help Todd Bookspan with the Modern Mortgage Summit. And it's all about modernizing.
Well, so let's go here, because if we're honest, and what you said is true, and one of the biggest, the number one online lender in the country, which we don't need to name names, we don't know who they are, they absolutely have a pick your program website. A customer today, your customer today, any loan officer customer today can go out there, go to the website, pick their own program, run their own DU, pick their own rate, lock their own loan, and go with no human consultation at all. It's available. It's out there. It exists. So here's where I'd love to take this, because you're right, and I'll echo you. Your ability as a professional to have empathy, connection, to really connect to humans is going to differentiate you and really understand what they need. So I'd love for you to share, Dave, whatever kind of comes to mind here. What are some of the best questions that you've heard over the years that are these opening questions for customers that really break open the conversation? Because, a lot of customers lead with what's your rate and a lot, that kind of stuff. What have you heard that people ask to kind of cut through that and start? What are some of the best questions you know?
Well, I'm going to start with a very important white belt question. Let's face it, to become a black belt, you need to be a white belt. So just because how long are you going to be in this home is a white belt question, it doesn't mean that a black belt doesn't ask it. I mean, it's a good question. The challenge is, guys, every loan officer in America asks it. And then they're like, oh, do you want points? No points. 5 year versus 30 years. It's like everybody knows how to do it. You don't even need to be a white belt. You just naturally know how to do it. So I always think black belt advisors start finding out, what are your goals and dreams with real estate? Ask a family that. The more you can get them to start vision casting, I want to buy this home, pay off the MI, buy a bigger home, and then we want to invest in real estate, and we'd love to have a second home in Bend someday. That's where you want to get with the family, to where you're not just a loan officer doing a transaction, you're a mortgage advisor helping them build wealth with real estate. So that's an important question. I always try to teach and train people to always ask people how old they want to be when their home's paid off.
Yes, great question.
And then pause for a minute and go, well, based on this loan, how old are you going to be? And guys, here's the deal. Usually the consumer is going to be 5 years to 10 years off goal. They want to be 55, but they're going to be 65. And so now when you're talking mortgage, you're not just talking rate, payment, an eighth here and an eighth there, and you're grinding. Well, I got a lender that can do it for a quarter better. You're the guy who's going to help them pay off their loan faster. You're the guy that's going to help them build wealth with real estate. So those are two really important questions.
Those are great questions. And I appreciate you starting there with me, because, I want to get contemporary with the issues that we're having today, but there's also this evergreen conversations that aren't happening. I mean, you say it so simply, like how long you live in the house, when do you want to have it paid off by, and you gotta shoot those out there. But loan officers aren't asking those questions, and so I love just the basic there. So let's go a step deeper here. You mentioned provide scenarios and options. So often customers might come in with a very specific thing they want in their brain, whether it's a 30-year fixed mortgage, which is probably the most obvious. They come in, this is what I want. No points, no fees, 30-year fixed mortgage, because that's somehow some radio ad they heard when they're 10 years ago that's stuck in their head. So when somebody comes in and they're kind of, they seem to be set, what questions or what process do you do to show them options and open their brain up a little bit?
So first, I would tell you that your goal is to teach them something they didn't know. So like in that conversation, you want them to go, wow, I never thought of that.
Yep.
So you've got to ask questions that sequence. And then I want you guys to write this down. Tailor, teach, control. That's what the best loan officers in America do. They ask great questions so they can tailor. Teaching is the name of the game until the family's like, I hadn't thought of it that way. Yep. And then control. They're good leaders. They know how to be empathetic, listen. They're not rushing someone off the phone, but they know how to lead. They know how to drive a process. And so you want to have a process that creates that wow. Now, the most common wows with refis are when you can say, hey, here's your current loan. Here's your monthly savings. Every loan officer does that. And when you can say, hey, what if you took that monthly savings and you prepaid your mortgage? How fast would you pay it off and how much interest you'd save? And usually it's a wow. And when you show that like to the dollar, like, hey, you can save $348. If you prepaid that, you could pay off your house. Right now you're at 23.5 years and you could be at 17.4 years, saving yourself $30,353. Like that's wow.
This is also, Dave, why I love your technology. And this isn't like a shameless plug, but when you're saying this to somebody, they may have a hard time seeing it or understanding it. Because you might do the math on a piece of paper and you have all the math there and you're explaining to somebody just like Dave did, here's the benefit of this and here's how fast you'll pay it off. But people may not be able to see it. And that's why I love what your technology does, Dave, is because now you give them the visual. Now you get them actual graphs, timelines, things they can sink their teeth into, not just the call. So while your content's right, I think also how you present it matters. And
there's no doubt about that.
No doubt. They when they see an analysis that you present to them, and then, I mean, you've seen this before, but people forward your stuff around. They take the analysis that you guys create through Mortgage Coach, and they'll send it to all their friends.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm actually looking at a TCA right now from Garrett Tyler out of your San Diego office, and he sent me a refi and a purchase, and I'm just like looking at this, and if you're a fee worksheet loan officer providing a fee worksheet and you're going against Garrett where he's like, hey, current loan option, then option B is 7.5 at no cost, which probably isn't the rate right now, or 2.5 or 2.35 with no points. It's like he's making it clear. He's making it simple. And in today's purchase market, clarity has never been more important because people are either having to write offers above and beyond the sales price to win. They're competing with cash. Yep. And so it's never been more important that when a consumer is going to make a winning offer, it's easy to make a losing offer, but there's a lot of losing offers. I mean, in every market, there's multiple offers and more of them are losing than winning. So you've got to make the winning offer. You need to be extremely clear on what's the wealth benefits of that home. Can I afford it? If it has an appraisal gap and the appraisal comes in $15,000 under purchase price, do I want to afford that? So it's never been more important to help a buyer make a winning offer that you're able to do an appraisal gap analysis. You're able to bring clarity and confidence to consumers, and a fee worksheet doesn't cut it for that.
Well, so let's open that up, because that's a contemporary issue that we're dealing with in this market right now, which is inventory shortage. Massive, like, home buying fever is insane. The memes and the cartoons and the jokes about trying to buy a home right now are just hysterical. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's say you're talking to somebody who wants to buy, is excited to buy, but to your point, is nervous about all the different things, all the multiple offer situation, not getting their offer accepted, having to bid over asking, afraid of a low appraisal. What are some of the best loan officers, and even from your personal viewpoint, how are they handling these conversations and setting their customers up for success? What's going on there?
Well, first of all, I would tell you they are picking up market share. I'm hearing that it's never been easier to recruit realtors from mortgage coaches. And I've heard that it's never been easier to win, because here's a couple of things that aren't happening. First of all, most loan officers aren't calling listing agents. I mean, they're not. They should be. I mean, I interviewed a loan officer the other day, 2 days ago, out of Houston, who's literally winning 83% of his offers. Now, he did, to give a disclosure, I'm not in Austin. Like, I'm sure my percentage wouldn't be as high if I was in a more competitive market. He goes, my market, there's 3 to 5, 6 offers on everything, and I'm winning 83% of the time. He's calling an agent.
Yep.
And he's always doing an appraisal gap analysis for a family. So I don't want to get into details on it right now, but we released 2 weeks ago, a new playlist in our Facebook or in our YouTube channel called the Agent Advantage Playlist. And so these are presentations from our Modern Real Estate Summit. And it's actually loan officers presenting these ideas to a realtor. So I'd say the appraisal gap with single premium MI is probably the most common, call it wow strategy, where you're like, column A, your house, you get it over offer, but the appraisal comes in.
Yep.
Column B, the appraisal comes in $15,000 low. Here would be the amount of cash you need to come in. And then column C is single premium MI, put less down so that your cash to close is the same, and you do the single premium MI, so your monthly payment is pretty close to the same, and maybe you got $1,000, $2,000 extra in cash to close for the single premium MI. And again, presenting that in a super clean, concise way. Seeing that happen all the time in this market.
Yeah, I mean, I think the single premium MI and just the educating customers on future value of the home, looking at trends, using that tool is how you guide them through. I love the single premium MI concept. Dave, can you break it down for somebody who's not familiar, just high level? What are the loan officers doing with the single premium MI?
Yeah, so they're showing in a mortgage coach report multiple options, and then putting the single premium MI option in there. And it just, again, I can't show it on the screen right now, but it makes it so easy. And then the other thing that's super popular right now in this market is cost of waiting. To help a family go, you know what? Let's say it's a situation, there's 10 offers and you're in, I don't know, 4th place.
Yep.
And to be the winning offer is beyond your personal limit that you set. To sit down and go, okay, let's say you don't win this. What do you think is going to happen to appreciation of real estate? And everybody's like, it's going up. Okay, let's say it goes up. Put that in. And what do you think is going to happen to interest rates? Well, I think they're going up. So now you can literally show the family like, hey, make the winning offer over your comfort zone, or based off your assumptions, this is where you might be. And it's helping families make that winning offer when everything's a bidding war.
Love it. So let's go another page deeper here. Refis have slowed down. And by the way, there's still a huge refinance market. So I'll just put my disclaimer on there. I think there's tons of people that can still benefit from the rate position we're in. But, if you're a loan officer, you're like, oh, refis are gone from what they used to be because we were in this 2% craziness and it was just easy. So let's talk about not so easy refinances. Because, you get a customer, they're talking to you. What are the questions and I'll call it corners or angles loan officers need to be looking and asking in? Because sometimes the right deal is to refinance at a higher rate than they have now. I mean, we would, so you say that and someone would be like, that would make no sense. But no, if you ask the right questions, it's actually really good financial sense. So Dave, why don't you unpack some of the stuff you heard and know about that space to help some loan officers out here?
Yeah. So first of all, I think there's 2 kinds of refis. There's still fence sitting rate and term refis that are still in the money, but they're just not, it's not as obvious as it was. So I do recommend you go to all your refis and always show option A, current loan, option B, refi, and then the third option, third strategy, what would be the benefit of taking the monthly savings and prepaying it.
Yes.
And then showing the cost over 5 and 10 years. So you got to go beyond monthly payment in today's market when it comes to rate and term refis. If you haven't shown that family the 5-year and the 10-year impact, and you haven't showed the prepay impact, let's just say you haven't given a great presentation. Sorry, it is what it is. If it's a refi and they don't know the 5-year, 10-year impact and the benefit of prepaying, you're on first base as a presenter. So do that. And then there's there's a lot of debt consol loans in the marketplace. Most people have more credit card debt.
Yep.
It seems like there's more car loans, student debt. And you really need to look at yourself two ways. I think when you meet with a family who's a current homeowner, you're having a conversation. How is the home currently working for you? And you're really trying to open them up with, should you do a move-up analysis? So showing the family, hey, should you stay in this home? Should you refinance this home? Or should you move up? And putting that in crystal clear. Because guys, we're mortgage professionals. Our job is to help families achieve the American dream. And our job is to help realtors help families achieve the American dream easier and faster. So if you're not good at doing a move-up analysis, we do training on that multiple times a week at Mortgage Coach, and our technology makes that super easy. But I would say be ready to first go like, hey, move up. Oh, you don't want to move up? Well, now let's look at financial makeover. Do you have any home improvement you want to make? Oh, yes. You've got 10,000 home improvement. Oh, credit cards, car loans. Start looking at scenarios to put those together. And the Mortgage Coach debt consolidation analysis is mind-boggling. Like literally 9 out of 10 people forget about the monthly savings and all the benefits of refi. They're looking at the report going, this is amazing. So,
well, and this is the other thing, Dave, that I just noticed a lot of originators said that you just hit, but I want to highlight it because I don't even want to miss it. Your database of customers that you served last year, you might think, hey, I refied everyone I could. They got the lowest rates I could give them. Rates are now higher. And then you just forsake that customer. You don't call them back. You don't check in. And so a couple of things Dave said that I want you to pay attention to. Number one is if you did a good job up front and you life planned with them and you understand that they do want to buy that second home in Bend. And then when you recircle up, you don't know what debt they've taken back on in the last 6 months to a year you did their loan. You don't know where their debt position is. You don't know if they want to cash out because they want to do a remodel now or they want to do something else or cash out to buy that home in Bend. Equity's at all-time highs right now. The prices are going up, so people's values are going up, which means they have more cash in their home than ever before, which means are you in the conversation with them on what they want to do with it? Because it might be nothing. I'm all good, Alec. But to your point, Dave, it's a gold mine if you're just willing to contact your past customers and talk to them.
Yeah, it is. And that reminds me of a story about 2.5 months ago. Yeah. I interviewed a loan officer, Alex Cook, out of Northern Indiana. And he was last year was his first year in the business. And he did over 100 loans his first year in the business.
That's epic.
He used Mortgage Coach, but I interviewed him on what he called the single mom refi. And he had this single mom that came in. He did a financial makeover where she got the cash out for a home improvement. She consolidated debt. She was going to pay off her house in 21 years. With his strategy, she's going to pay it off in 19 years. Wow. She was blown away. He won a loan. But you know what he did? He took his iPhone out. He was sitting at his desk, and he did like a 2-minute, 39-second just riff. He had his baseball cap on, and he just was just fired up, talking from the heart, put it into Facebook, cha-ching. He got 2 more loans. And then he put $100 on it. He's like, oh, let's boost this thing. He got 2 more loans. And then when I did this interview, it was 6 months later. And he's like, Dave, every month I put $100 on it and I get 2 more loans. And so he just took good advice, helped a family. Yeah. He put a good headline on it, single mom refi.
It's all good.
Know what that is. And then he killed it. And he's got first year. Well, this is his second year now. And I think he's got over 10 loans because he just is going beyond the transaction, doing a little bit more than the average loan officer.
So you said a couple things that I wrote down as really great quotes for today. You said, obviously, going beyond the transaction, Going beyond the monthly payment was another one I put down that I just loved, because you're totally right. You got to be thinking of like, how do I make this more than the monthly payment conversation? And everything, Dave, you've shared shows that. So kind of on the last tail end of the questions that I have for you, obviously on consulting and quoting, it's not just about the total cost analysis anymore, which is a great tool. And I think but I think there's this combo effect. And this brings me back to one of my favorite pieces of software that you guys provide, is the ability to provide videos along with your consultations. And so if we're talking about modern consultations and quoting, you have to talk about video, because most of us aren't sitting down face to face with our customers anymore the way we used to or the way we liked. Maybe that'll shift as we continue to push through COVID, but let's talk about video for a second, Dave. Number one, I'll brag about Mortgage Coach so you don't have to. It provides the ability to send videos along with your explanation. You cannot pretend that some customers aren't so freaking busy and insane. They're like, just send me your information, I'll look at it later. And they don't want to sit there, Dave, and talk to you. They're A-type crazies, and they're out there just like, hey, just send me something. And I know a lot of loan officers deal with that. And so now you've got video to go along with it. So what are your, I don't know, top 2, 5, 10 tricks, tips? What do you share with people who are going to send a video along with their consultation? Let's even frame it this way. Let's say they didn't get a chance to have all the conversations they want with the customer. The customer just bullied them into just send me something. What are you going to send in that video?
Yeah. So first of all, I think you need to align around the concept that you need to be a coach and advisor. And I still remember the quote. It was at Inman in 2017, which is the largest real estate event. And Rich Barton, Mr. Disruptor, from stage, was telling realtors and loan officers, the agent of the future is a coach and advisor to home buyers and home sellers. So you need to become one with that. If you want this next decade to be better, you need to own that. And I do think we've also become to a decade where everybody realizes that YouTube is the second largest search engine in America.
Massive.
And my son, who is an elite face-off player, he learned to do what he did on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can learn to do anything on YouTube. And then video. And anybody who has an Apple phone, if you haven't noticed the way they're evolving Messenger to where now you click a button, and if I want to send a voice note to Alex, I'm giving him a voice note. If I want to click camera and do a video, guys, if you want to be a modern coach, advisor to clients, it's not an option anymore. Video, it's no longer an option. It is a requirement. The question is, how much money are you going to lose? And if you're not even playing the game, you're losing money and you're losing time. Because that's the other thing, guys. I've never misspelled a word with video, and I could create a 1-minute video and deliver a better experience to the consumer than I can. It would take me 10 minutes in an email to make sure it had spell check. So you got to do it. And for anyone who has never done it, I would just start with a text video and make it less than 30 seconds and do it to a friend or family member. Just start with and if you're a loan officer, start with saying thank you to your last real estate agent that you met with.
Gosh.
Thank you. It was great meeting you. Thank you. Start with some thank yous and then work your way up to Mortgage Coach videos, bomb videos. And then what you and I are doing now, that's not a white belt move. This requires a little, you and I have done this a few times.
Yeah, but I love your comment, Dave, that it's a non-negotiable, because consulting and quoting today, and I even argue, even if you had the robust conversation with the customer, the great rapport building, digitally face-to-face, Zooming or face-to-face, and you're still going to send them a follow-up, you're still going to send them that total cost analysis to look at, it always should accompany with another video, another message, another connection point. I think what you all heard from Dave is this is a vehicle for human connection. And when you're trying to build a relationship with somebody, to be their coach, to earn that right, that privilege, it's going to come through your ability and desire to humanly connect with them. And if they feel that in you, if they see you enough and they resonate with you and they just are in touch with your energy and your aura and your compassion and all the stuff you get from this face-to-face type experience, that's how you win. You're so right, Dave. It's just how much money you're leaving on the table by not doing it.
Yeah. And time. Again, it's not, I mean, for loan officers that use video, they would just talk to you about how every 5 minutes in video saves me 30 minutes in a transaction. For every mortgage coach report that I provide a family, they're more informed, they're more confident, they convert better. Just you got to do these little things. They're easy to do, they're easy not to do, but it is the difference between killing it going forward.
So let's end with this, Dave. We're talking about modern consulting and quoting. You're the guy that, in my opinion, wrote the book on how to do it the right way. You lead with the technology program that loan officers around the world are using to increase their conversion. So in this topic of consulting and quoting, what would you say are the most important, let's just do 3 things someone needs to focus on as we kind of summarize, our podcast today, how to be great in this space? What are the most important 3 things?
Well, I'm gonna, before I talk about tech or anything, I think it's your energy and your vibe, how you show up for a family is really the ultimate competitive advantage. So I would just start there. Like you got to be comfortable, you got to be confident, you got to be having fun, and so I would take audit on where you're at in the process, as far as just your energy and your vibe. The questions you ask. And I gave you a couple of great ones. What are your real estate goals, and how old do you want to be when your home's paid off? I mean, those are black belt questions. But remember, you got to listen. And then when you present this is what I can do for you, did it include their goals? Did it? And if it didn't, you are quoting, and that is commodity. You are not advising, and you are not coaching. And I would just leave it with, be a coach, be a mortgage coach, have great energy and vibe, ask great questions, and then deliver a wow presentation.
The only thing that I would add for someone on there, because I know there's an originator that heard the first thing of you, Dave, you said and got insecure because they're newer in the business and they don't know everything, or they have whatever excuse they have there. And all I would say, and I'm curious for your addition to this, Dave, too, is you don't have to know everything in the business to be an effective, amazing originator. Your passion to get them the right answers, to support somebody, to serve them, can be all that matters. I remember every loan officer like me in our early days, we didn't know crap. And all we had was our conviction that we would hustle and work hard for the people that we were working for. And if we didn't have the answer, we'd go get it for them. And somehow we still were able to get loans, even without knowing everything. Would you add anything to that, Dave?
Yeah, I would. I'm going to give you guys a script. It's just going to make you so much money. So most new loan officers, they create their wedding list, and then they call that people on the wedding list. And the script is something like, hey, I'm in the mortgage business. Do you know anyone looking for a mortgage? Oh, you're renting. Are you thinking about buying? Like, that is the typical script. Guys, here's a new script for you. So you're going to call, you're doing the business, you're going to call your renters, everybody renting, and you're going to say, hey, I'm in the business. I need your help. You're going to pause and go, I need to practice this thing called a rent versus own analysis. Probably, I have no idea whether it makes any sense, but would you help me by letting me practice a rent versus own analysis with you?
So good.
So, and then if you're a mortgage coach, you do a rent versus own analysis, but you're getting reps. And the goal, if you get 20 to 50 rent versus own analysis from your wedding list, you're going to kill it. By the way, you will get loans from that conversation, and you will get reps at being an advisor. And now you'll be ready to crush it when you get the leads. So here's the next script. Yeah. You're going to call every homeowner, like all the homeowners, and go, hey, I'm new in the mortgage business. I need your help. I need to practice this move up analysis thing. Just probably doesn't make sense for you to move up, but I just need to practice this thing called move up analysis because realtors need listings. I'm a loan officer and I need to get listings. So will you just answer a few quick questions? And again, that's the script, guys. So do that 100 times this month. Like, if you're new in the business, there's no reason you can't have 100.
Yeah, even if you're not new in this business, it's just hey, I want to. Oh my gosh, Dave, I love that script. I love that script. Yeah. That's the perfect thing to end on.
There you have it.
Brother, thank you for taking the time today. For those of you that are interested in Mortgage Coach, use the Google. Please use this software. Dave, and if you're just looking to learn more, Dave runs some really robust communities on Facebook, Mortgage Coach communities. Again, you don't need a brain to Google it and see it on there. Jenny said, Dave's always a fountain of wealth. You are, dude.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you for sharing with us, Dave, today. I really appreciate it, man. I really do.
Hey, I appreciate what you do for our industry, and thank you for all your leadership, bro. Appreciate you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Modern Lending Podcast. For now, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you all on the internet.